Well, hey, everybody. TexAgs Rewind, David Nuno, Billy Liucci. Billy, a rough weekend, to say the least, but at least ended with a walk-off there yesterday.
I mean, incredible. Walked it off. They needed it in the worst way, obviously. You avoided the sweep. But even more importantly, to enter into a new week on a high note, and a very important week with a trip to Houston this weekend, where they're gonna play a couple of powerhouse programs. So needed that shot of momentum, that feel good going into the week. It was a struggle last week. They were 0-3. Who knows if they can, that ninth inning, if we can look back on it and see it as a turning point in the season.
So that's baseball. We had Schloss in studio. He was great with Bronny. Of course, we talked some basketball. Buzz Williams called the show. Get some thoughts after the Mississippi State loss and what's ahead here with Ole Miss and Alabama to finish out the season. And, of course, we had this guy here talking a little football, baseball, basketball, you name it. It's TexAgs Rewind. Turning point.
The
9-minute stretch.
Well, I'm going to be more specific about it. Andre Gordon hit the three-pointer. You got a 44-35 lead. Mississippi State takes a timeout. There was a turning point because they came out of that timeout, and Deshaun Davis hit a jumper for Mississippi State, and everything changed from that moment. A&M couldn't hit a shot from that after that timeout. Mississippi State, which is actually – their offense has been challenged. They actually started making shots. They started making free throws. They started doing things that a good team does. So it's not sexy. I can't tell you a whole lot of details. All I know is you're up 9. You've got a 13-2 run. They take a timeout, and whatever he said, his Bulldogs took to heart, because from the 13:57 moment on, Mississippi State owned that basketball game.
Yeah, and again, that game to me felt like an A&M game for the reverse team, right? Because it's usually A&M who calls the right timeout and makes the adjustments. It's A&M that usually wins the offensive rebounds. It's A&M that forces the more turnovers. It's A&M that gets to the line more than the opposing team. I know they didn't hit all their free throws. I think they hit
they shot well.
They hit 20 though, right? And I think A&M also hit 20.
I think A&M made 20 of 26.
Yeah, and they went more. I think they shot 66%.
Well, I got it right here. Well, some days it drives me crazy. Now, page not found. What is that about?
I'll find it for you.
That's ridiculous.
I'm looking at it right here, OB. Free throws. A&M went 20 of 26, and they went 20 of 30.
Which is actually a really good shooting performance for them.
A couple stars for Nathan Dentner. How you feel he's looked so far?
Good. He's done a really nice job. I think he's managed his body well. I think he's thrown his breaking ball better than he has before. His changeup before the season was, I think Bronny was there one day, his changeup was devastating, and we haven't seen that pitch as much yet. But he's done a nice job, and we'll be getting back out there Friday night against, obviously, a super talented Louisville team.
The story of I think maybe the storyline of Saturday for you positively gets lost in losing the game. Troy Wansing was awesome in a bounce-back start. Yeah,
Nate did a nice job with him, moving him to the first base side of the rubber, which seemed to help him have better command, throw his breaking ball even more for strikes. And so if Detmer can keep giving us that, if Wansing can give us something close to that, then that obviously bodes really, really well. And I think Cortez is finding himself as a pitcher. Walked 5 yesterday. All 4 runs were with 2 outs. So he just didn't finish off innings. But I like where our starting rotation is at this point. But we're going to reevaluate all of it before we begin conference play.
I thought Targac had some good swings yesterday. He seems like more in control of his at-bats, and he's taking some walks. And JT too. But, like, that whole nucleus, does maybe, and I know this is the hope, but the walk-off single, does it finally let everybody go, huh?
Yeah, I wish if we could, all of them have been the guy that hit the ball.
Right.
If all of them could have, that way, if it would have been Bose, he'd be feeling better about himself. But a win helps everybody, everything's better. But, we just have to keep working. We have to keep training. I had a really close friend who's into horses tell me one time they don't train themselves in the pasture. So we have to keep working with them.
Yeah.
And getting a bunch of text messages about the uniforms this weekend. People were loving them, man.
Yeah, it was fun. Yesterday was pretty special. Had a lot of people, a lot of former members of the Corps come down to the dugout before the game, after the game, and say thanks to our team and, and to us for doing that, take pictures of one guy wanted, I guess, whatever patch I had that was his unit. So you could really connected with people. And so it was awesome. And I love it here. I love everything about this place. And it really is tradition rich and something that I hope to be a part of for a long time.
Plan for tomorrow, Houston Christian. I know it's a Lance Berkman, a guy you know very well, a name baseball fans in the state are going to know very well. They're off to a tough start as well, but just kind of your plan on how you're going to go about attacking the game. I imagine Wyatt Tucker get the ball. Yeah,
Tucker will start the game. I haven't. I'll leave here, go to my office, start watching video on their team. We're certainly not in a position to take any team lightly or any of that kind of stuff, and nor have we ever. Mm-hmm. I remind them all the time of that, but Lance is doing a great job down there trying to get a program going. I know what that feels like. I've done it a couple times. So
you guys have lost now 3 SEC games, and the way you've bounced back after the first 2 losses, each of the first 2 losses has been really eye-opening, especially earlier on before anybody in the country was saying this is a team that could contend for an SEC title. It was like, man, how are they going to bounce back at Auburn? How are they going to bounce back after that Arkansas game? What's been the key? Because obviously you guys are going to try to replicate that going into Ole Miss. But what's been the key to you guys just not dwelling on it and immediately getting back on track in a tough league?
Yeah, I think our guys have been like elite in that regard. And to your point, Billy, if you talk about the 3 losses at Kentucky, mm-hmm. They beat us pretty much the way Mississippi State beat us. I do not think we were at our best at Arkansas. They beat us. I never tried to justify why we lost, but it was a little different vibe than at Kentucky and at Mississippi State. If you break the 18-game schedule into thirds, and each 6 games is 1 lap, we went 5-1 in lap 1. Mm-hmm. We went 5-1 in lap 2. We're in lap 3 now, obviously with 2 games to go, and we have a chance to be 5-1 in lap 3. We are currently 5-3 on the road. We are currently 8-0 at home. I think regardless of result, yes, it's easier to talk about the losses. They were all on the road. It's only happened 3 times. I think the response of our group, regardless of result, has been ultra mature, right? We've also won 13 games. And so the response after a win, not being content, moving on to the next thing. What is our job?
Not the weekend we wanted, because we all, I assume, have these visions of how it should play out. A&M should be playing Alabama for the SEC championship.
Still might be.
Could be, right? And A&M baseball, in our minds, would probably be 7-0 right now, right? But this is part of the reason we love sports, because the grind and coming back from this is the real, of course you want to win it all, but what we saw last year in baseball, what we saw last year in basketball, what we're seeing this year in basketball, it's all part of the journey.
It is, and look, I'm gonna love it more when A&M is, when Buzz and company go to the tournament every year, and we expect it, and they're that good, and they make, they have teams that are capable of making runs each year, and they keep climbing, and I'm gonna love it more in baseball when we're seeing an A&M team that's won a national title and that's been to Omaha, like Slosh did at TCU, just. You're kind of a regular in Omaha. And I think those things can happen here. And I do believe they're coming. I think Buzz has figured out how to build a really good basketball team in his image and likeness, in the days of name, image, and likeness. Mm-hmm. It's Buzz Williams' team. Image and likeness, and he's figured out how to do that through the portal and recruiting and have that nice mix. And I think Slosh's resume and what he's done as a head coach at both TCU and now in 1 year here speaks for itself. I think those things are coming. This was not one of those weekends. Basketball went on the road. I was worried about that happening at Missouri. It happened at Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State was a much tougher matchup for the Aggies, for this team. Whereas Missouri, I worried about Missouri if they were just banging threes, like Brown was in that game, but not the other guys. But if one other guy would have shot like that, that's what I was worried about. But as far as a matchup goes, I think Mississippi State's a tougher matchup for A&M.
All right, Billy. Kind of an all business kind of rewind today, huh? Didn't it feel like there was
Yeah,
no
you weren't
jokes?
joking around.
Yeah.
You were very, I mean, that's what happens, I guess. You're doing hey, it was a rough weekend for Aggie sports kind of voice that,
It does set the tone.
But I would say an exciting week coming up for A&M
Yeah.
sports. You look at baseball's going to Houston. They're playing Louisville, Tech, Rice. 3 big games at Minute Maid. Here locally, Texas A&M, Alabama, Saturday, 11 a.m. Could still be for an SEC title.
Potentially.
Aggies have to take care of business. Auburn has to take care of business in Tuscaloosa. It's doable. Either way, you're getting a number 2 ranked Bama coming into Reed Arena where the Aggies have not lost in conference play and where that home court advantage right now is as good as anywhere in the country. It's going to be electric at Reed, and the Aggies have a chance to knock off number 2 to cap off the conference season at the least. It might be a chance to win an SEC title.
So if you want to help the Aggies, you know what you need to do? Like, comment, subscribe. It goes a long way for helping the basketball team and, of course, TexAgs. Thanks for watching.